Positive PLR, and I just wanted to do a quick tutorial on how to use Kaleidoscope Kreator 3 to create mandalas and patterns for your coloring books. Because someone in the group asked, and I said, why not? Okay. So I've opened up Kaleidoscope Kreator 3, and I've pulled in a pattern. You just go to this little folder and you can open any image you like. You want it to be 300 dpi, just makes everything easier. And you can use a full pattern, you can use mandalas, you can use whatever you can think up, even plain black and white line art, depending on what it is. So you'll see the pattern here. Here's a preview. Now I'll show you the shapes you can use, right? You get standard shapes. I also bought a bunch of different shapes from the Kaleidoscope Kreator website. I'm telling you, I never use them. I use the circle and the squares. Okay, so the squares will actually create patterns for you, will fill up the whole screen, and you can choose 6, 8, 10, 12, 16, or 20 divisions. The higher you go, the more complicated it gets, so depending what you want, you'll choose what you'd like to use, and it's the same for the circle. So I chose a circle that has 8 different sections, right? And this is what it created. Now I just opened the picture and it lands it right in the middle, and I actually really like this image. So I'm going to save this, okay? So I'm just going to come over here to save. Oh, and you want to make sure it's set to transparent background because you're going to want to put a stroke around this if it's a coloring image for a mandala book. If it's the squares you're using, you're creating full page patterns, you don't really need to have it transparent, but it doesn't matter if it is. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and I'm going to save this as a 10-inch by 10-inch mandala at 300 pixels per inch. You want it to be high resolution. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to save it. I'll just name it 1. And I'll show you how to add the stroke and make sure everything's clear in Illustrator. You can use Illustrator, I think, or Inkscape, and use the image trace to make sure your lines are crisp and clear. Now I'll create another one. So if you're creating mandalas for kids books or whatever, you want it to be a bit simpler depending on the age of the child. So what you can do is pull out this image, right, so that this fits in a smaller, like, it just doesn't fit as much inside, so it's going to be less complicated. And you can twist it, move it around, depending what you want. So I think I'm just going to leave it there. And there you go. See how the lines are further apart, so it's easier for a child to color in than a lot of detail. So I'm going to save this one. I'm just going to come over to save, and I'm going to leave it at 10 by 10 at 300 dpi. The only thing is, when you pull it out like this, and I'll show you. Oops. What it looks like, it blurs it because you're going beyond. It's not a vector image, it's a raster image, so it will get blurry. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'll show you what happened to the image. Okay, so it doesn't look too bad like that, but put it at 100% and it's blurry. So what we're going to do first is add a stroke. So you want to come over to your layer, double click on it, go to stroke, make sure it's on the inside, and then you choose the size you like. I'm going to leave it at 16. Click OK, and then I'm going to save it. And then we'll do the same for the first one. Pull it in, double click on it, come over to stroke. I'm going to leave it same thing, inside 16. Now see, this one we didn't stretch out, so it should be good. See, the lines are pretty crisp and clear, but sometimes, like here, see, with a stroke it's not. So I always bring them into Illustrator anyway, because it's just safer in the long run. Even if it looks good to the eye, sometimes it might not be. So it only takes a second to clean them up. Okay, so we're going to go over and to Illustrator, and I'm going to open these files so we can work on them. Okay, so let's do this one first. Now, I'm going to pump it up a bit. What happened? Oh, I deleted it. Just going to zoom in. See how unclear that is and pixelated? Okay. Now, what you want to do is click on the image and see how it's transparent on the background. That's what I want, because I'm going to take 2 or 3 mandalas and overlay them on each other, so I need a transparent background. So you can come over to your image trace window. If you don't see that, you can come up to window, image trace, and that'll pull it up. And I'm going to leave it at the defaults. Now if you wanted to make the inside transparent as well, you can do that by ignoring white, and that will also keep the background transparent, but it's not what I want, because if I overlay this and it's transparent on the inside, it's going to show the bottom image through, and that's not the effect I want. So I'm just going to leave that as is, click on the preview, and then it'll go through and it'll clean it up. Okay. Let's zoom in again. See how clear that is now? Perfect. But the only thing is, now it's made the background white. Okay? So what you want to do here, I mean, you could save it like this and then pull it into Photoshop and use the magic eraser, but you could also do it easily in Illustrator. So what you want to do, make sure you're on the image, go to Object, Expand, just click OK, and that will separate all these parts. Okay, and then click outside the image, click on your direct selection tool, then click on the background. Okay, and see, this one isn't selected, so hit Shift and just make sure that's selected too. Then hit delete, and there you go. You've got your transparent background back. So I'm just going to go to File, Export, Export As, and make sure background color is transparent, 300 dpi, everything is good, and click OK. There we go. I'm going to pull that back into Photoshop just to show you. Okay, so let's make this 100%. And then we'll go over to this, make it 100%. See the difference? And there you have a crisp, clean coloring image for your books. So that's good. So let's close those out. Don't have to save it. So we'll just do that one more time in Illustrator for you. So we have our mandala with the transparent background, and we want to make sure the lines are crisp and clean. So we're going to go to our image trace, click on preview so it can clean it all up. Make the lines all nice and smooth. Okay, and again we have our white background instead of transparent. So you're going to click on Object, Expand, click OK, and then you're going to click outside the image, go to your Direct Selection tool, and then click on the background. Here we go, hit delete, and we have our transparent background back again. And then just export it, and you're good to go. Okay, so that's awesome. I love that feature. Okay, so now let's make a square background, like a pattern you want to use. You can use it for anything. So you just come down to your squares and choose whichever one. I'm just going to choose 8 again. And there you go. See, it fills up the whole page, so that's what you want when you're doing square patterns. But you can also, okay, I like that one. So I'm going to save this one. Now, when you go to save it, remember that you can do whatever width or height you want, right? So I'm going to do, say I want to fill an 8 by 5 by 11 coloring page. So I'm going to save it as that. And show you what that looks like once that's done. So you could do 8 by 10, 6 by 9, whatever your preference is. There. And now you have a full page to use as a background or to use as a coloring page, whatever you choose to do with it. Okay, you can do the same thing with this, and it doesn't matter. You don't need a transparent background. If you want to stroke around it, just double click on the layer and go to stroke. Make sure it's on the inside, and from these and make it a little bit smaller. And there you have it, and just save it. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, hit me up in Facebook or send me an email.